have a special visitor from Germany all the way. May I request Markus from Tibil Solutions. He is a specialist in providing this AI IoT solutions. He is an industry veteran, and I think they are providing solutions all over the globe. Soon they want to conquer Indian customers as well.
Good afternoon, everybody. You made a good point. We are getting ready for the lunch. But before lunch, a little bit of food for thought, and then we are hopefully ready for the lunch. I would like to thank the organizers first of all for having me here. It's wonderful to be here, and you made a right comment. I'm really coming straight from Germany. I landed this morning in Bangalore, and because the exhibition is so important for me, I've literally straight from the airport came here. But to set the context also right, so I'm right now heading Tibil Solutions. Tibil Solutions is a local-based and headquartered data analytics and AI firm just next door, so literally. And while we do have global presence, we also have a good grip on the Indian market. And we have two main focus areas. One is the BFSI sector, and the other one is the greater manufacturing sector, where automotive would also fall into it, and where the whole IoT range falls in. So in the next couple of minutes, I want to spend a little bit of time on the on battery management systems, which is a critical component for the EV industry, and what AI and data can do for that as well. So in that aspect, I want to thank Rabi again for giving us such a good detailed insights on AI and how it works and what are the prerequisites, because I will not talk about that. So I'm very happy that this is already covered. My approach is more a high-level approach, since I'm having a consulting background, and since I'm the CEO, I'm allowed to do that. To set a little bit the context right, where we are, what's happening in the industry, what are the roles for these kind of applications, and this is where I'm coming from. So let's go into the setting the context. A couple of figures I've put here across on the historical development of the EV market. So EVs is in globally, when you go to any automotive show, to any automotive happening, is the happening thing. It's also highly embraced by the regulating bodies. So a lot of countries pushing for electrification of mobility, which is okay, which is also important. But I'm also a little bit, I won't call it reluctant, but sometimes I'm playing a little bit the devil's advocate here, that we should also not forget other aspects of fuels and other aspects of mobility. Obviously, this is all highly driven by zero emission, and right now we are having the big conference in Cairo, where everybody pledges when we will be carbon neutral, and for that EVs play a critical role. That's correct, but I don't think that's the only way to make mobility more carbon neutral. But another big driving force, which I haven't mentioned here, and which sometimes we don't talk about it lots, is of course autonomous driving. Because for autonomous cars, EVs is a clear game changer, because especially if you look at induction charging, it's so much easier to charge an autonomous car than any fuel-driven car. So that's also a big driving force. And obviously in India we're not talking so much about autonomous driving, but I think this is a big trend in the industry and a big game changer of the industry, and also, as I said, a driving force for any electrification going on. So here's our prediction for the next couple of months and the year. So we think that we can have easily 10 million electric vehicles sold this year globally. That is dramatic growth rates, but it's still small. let's be realistic, it's still a small market share of around 4.2% in 2020. And let's make no mistakes, there will be a lot of coexistence between electric vehicles and normal combustion engines vehicles. That's a given. So actually we anticipate that the number of conventional driven cars will not decline until 2040. And so since we are in an electric conference today, I just want to set this a little bit into context and perspective. It's an important factor, and as I said, with all the government initiatives globally, it's very important. And I also think that India can play a very critical and positive role in this global drive on electrification. And I come to this when we look a little bit at the Indian figures. But we should also realistically look also that this is not the only thing. Yeah, here's the Indian figures. I mean, they are also quite impressive. So India has embraced that the electrification drive, and we have also ambitious growth rates and ambitious targets also to commit to our zero carbon commitments and pledges of the government. An interesting figure here is this, the bullet number 4, where we say that we have EV sales penetration, 70% of all commercial cars. That seems to be a bit high for me, but hopefully we can manage it. But 30% for private cars. Now 30% for private cars by 2030 is a good market share, but again, there's a lot of other and if you reach these figures, and that's where we come now then later to the battery management system, is one thing having these figures, one thing having these cars out on the road, you need to provide power. And the biggest obstacle of electric vehicles globally is with the consumer, the scare of range. So here I would like to stress mainly on the right pie chart, not so much because who's all there, but I think when I say India can play a pivotal role in the global electrification drive, what is very unique here, or not unique, or very special for in the Indian context, is our big two-wheeler market here. And the two-wheeler electrification is obviously, of course, certain extent much easier than big cars, because they need less power, they're lighter, everything. And it has a big opportunity also if we try to export it. Because when I showed you the global figures is a big dispersion. No? I mean, the biggest market share of electric vehicles are right now in China. That's by far the biggest market for electric vehicles. And the smallest are in Africa. So in South Africa last year, 1,000 vehicles were sold electric. So, and that's South Africa. That's one of the most developed countries in Africa. Now you look at the rest of the continent. But with two-wheelers, because again, this has a big two-wheeler market, and two-wheelers are also a transport vehicle. That's not only an aspiration vehicle like in Europe. And we have already a good footprint of Indian two-wheeler manufacturers. That's a good chance to go about it. Now let's finally come to batteries. Batteries, I mean, the lithium-ion battery is the dominating battery globally and will dominate the electric vehicle market. Problem with that is that a lot of raw material, a lot of components are coming from China, so which is another big challenge. And I'm really appreciating any R&D work on battery work, on finding new battery means and having new battery plants, because right now the whole electrification process is highly dependent on having good relations with China. So what is now a better battery management system? Obviously, if you have so many electric vehicles, every electric vehicle has a battery, and that's the key of the whole concept. No? What is your diesel, your fuel in your normal car? That's your battery. So that's also, and it's also the reason why the cars are so expensive. It's a big driver of cost, and it's a big driver of weight also. That's another issue. So obviously, if you treat your battery well, it makes very much sense. And there are certain aspects to it. One is just controlling, managing your battery, then trying to preempt and predict any failures. And yeah, with the data storage comes the interesting part. What we already heard also is that while you can definitely, and it makes sense, very much sense, have a closed system on your battery management system, it becomes even more powerful if you share the data with other data points, either in your own vehicle or beyond with utility microgrids. So the basic 5 main parts of and I'm not want to become too technical here, is so you have state of charge and state of health is obviously that's a no-brainer. But when we talk state of charge and state of health, we always have to look, and that's already a powerful outcome of a battery management system, that battery packs are made out of battery cells. And in the lifespan of a battery, these cells have developed differently. So some battery cells are charging faster than others. And what you always want to avoid, that's true with any battery, is that you overcharge or you undercharge a battery. So that means if you have these various cells, you need to be very careful that because this slow performer, you overcharge all the other cells just because this one is not taking charge as good as it used to take. So that's already a big benefit. Then of course your energy management system, current, and of course voltage also, and temperature. So we all hear about EV cars burning down. The burning of these EV cars is always because of the batteries. So and that's why also lithium ion are very critical because if they start burning, then they burn. No, so you can't extinguish it with water. So that's a given. That's why they are also so picky, or so particularly when you check in your luggage in a plane that you don't put it in your suitcase. And that you don't lose your phone anywhere and move your seat and damage your battery. And then obviously you want to monitor that, and you want to share this data either with the driver, but again, you can share it also within the OEM so that people get a feel on how are the cars performing, how the batteries performing, how are they discharging differently, maybe regional, maybe type-wise, maybe whatever. And this is already to certain things covered. Again, important thing is for me still the communication part, because that's the interesting part. Let it communicate within your OEM. I mean, that's within, let's say, Tata or Mahindra. But also if you share it, and if you share it also with the utilities and with the grid. So 4 or 5 years ago, I was in Shanghai and was able to visit a control room in Shanghai, and each and every electric vehicle was monitored on a map in Shanghai with the exact battery level of each car. That means they knew exactly, okay, in Indranagar, so to speak, because I forgot the Chinese names of all the various areas, you have so many Teslas with only 20% charge. The high likelihood is that they will all look desperately for a charger soon. So that means if I don't have in Indranagar the grid stable enough, I might have a power cut in Indranagar. And that's super important because many people, right now, as we saw, the penetration level of electric vehicles is still very, very low, even in developed countries. So it's handleable. But if you have, I always keep saying, if you have a situation where you have lots of electric vehicles and everybody decides, I go for the weekend to Ooty, and on Sunday evening I come back to Bangalore, but I need to charge my vehicle to make the drive. I think the grid in Ooty, right now, the grid in Ooty will collapse. So that's a big challenge, and that's a task that can only be solved holistically. No OEM, no utility company can do this alone. So as I said before, the extension of battery life, I mean that the economic is obviously, while it costs something to invest, but since it's the most expensive part of an electric vehicle, if you save the battery, it makes very much sense to invest into that, because the longer it lasts, the better it is for all of us. And of course, the safety aspects, I already quickly touched upon it. And this is all in the making. We also have to see that a lot of AI related, or what we call right now AI, the majority of AI applications are basically machine learning applications which use a lot of data to make the application smarter, using time series and regression and whatever. That's fine, and there's nothing wrong with it, but a big power on that also will lie later on in certain pattern recognitions, where you use this particular data and you use other data points and you compare them and you look for correlations. That's another big thing where definitely with AI-powered models and algorithms, we can make a big impact for what I just described, to make sure that not only the battery is used properly, but the grid is also there properly, that the development also for the next generation of battery is taken into concern, or the next generation of cars is taken into concern. So there are sometimes designs, which car designs, which because of the shape, they heat up much faster. That means you need much more AC in a car like that. That means it will have an impact on your battery, and that's again something which you can correlate then, and maybe design the car differently or have a different battery approach and things like that. So since I'm, thank God it's not flashing here, but since I'm already over the time, I'll rush a little bit through it, and I don't want to be longer between you and the lunch and the next speaker, of course, also. That's why I'll leave it at here, and me and my colleagues here in the room are around here for the whole day. So if you have any questions, please feel free to talk to us.
Thank you, Markus. Anybody has a question? Only one question? Nobody has? I will ask a question. I myself will ask.
Please.
I think you said you directly headed from airport, right?
Yeah.
So how much time it took from airport?
Directly, I was exaggerating as well. I landed at 2 o'clock in the morning, so I headed still home and had at least a bus to come here. So the time was okay because it was 2 o'clock in the morning. But I know where you're coming from. Had I landed at 9, it would have taken me some 2-3 hours to come here.
That's true. That is what precisely I'm coming. What is the IoT solutions, or the AI solutions for the traffic? EV is fine, EV technology is fine. I think the major challenge in Bangalore right now is the traffic.
Yeah, the traffic
is there any solution from Tibil?
If we would have a solution for that, I wouldn't stand here because I would be so rich that I don't need to come to conferences like this anymore. But this is this is also a complex subject. Or there are so many things like the administration, public administration, also of course OEMs, planning, town planning. There are many aspects to it, but my biggest hope, but not only for Bangalore, but for the whole world, that's why I mentioned it also, is autonomous vehicles, because autonomous vehicles will definitely help us to reduce vehicles on the ground, and of course also the public transport. So I mean, next time we have this conference here, most of us can come with the metro here, then that will definitely help us. So which is not an IoT solution, but again, once you have all that, you can make very advanced apps, which many cities have already, where you can match your metro with your Uber, so that when the metro reaches a station, the Uber is already waiting and there's a waiting area for Uber for the last mile connectivity. So there are things, but first we need to have the infrastructure ready for that. But yeah.
Thank you, Markus. So I think takeaway is whoever has the solution for traffic will become richer. Thank you. May I ask Devendra to give the memento to Markus? Thank you all for being with us, and I hope you continue after lunch. The interesting sessions, interesting panels are going to come up. I think just to add to Markus' thing regarding the transportation, I remember one saying, you know, the developed countries means not that the poor man can buy a car. The developed countries is not that the poor man can afford a car, but actually the rich people will be able to go through the public transport. I think that's the developed country. That's what the concept which I feel I echo with some of the people who on this. Thank you, Markus, by the way.